Good morning, Year 4. Welcome to your Friday reading lesson. It's me, Miss Franklin. And today we're going to be reading a poem. The poem is called A Star, and it's by Sara Teasdale, who was born in 1883. She was a famous poet at the time. She was American, and she wrote lots of award-winning poems. So if you enjoy this one, you might want to go and read one of her other poems. So I'm going to read the poem to you, and then I'm going to go through the questions and how I'm going to go about answering them. But if you'd like to be more independent and do it yourself, pause the video now, read the poem, answer the questions, and then come back to the end of the video to check your answers. But if you would like to listen to me read the poem, or if you'd like some more support with answering the questions, stay watching the video now. Okay, so let's begin by reading. A white star born in the evening glow looked to the round green world below, and saw a pool in a wooded place that held like a jewel her mirrored face. She said to the pool, "O wondrous deep, I love you, I give you my light to keep. Oh, more profound than the moving sea, that never has shown myself to me. Oh, fathomless as the sky is far, hold forever your tremulous star." But out of the woods as night grew cool, a brown pig came to the little pool. It grunted and splashed and waded in, and the deepest place but reached its chin. The water gurgled with tender glee, and the mud churned up in it turbidly. The star grew pale and hid her face in a bit of floating cloud like lace. So if you'd like now to have a go at reading the poem by yourself, because it is a nice poem to read, pause the video and come back when you've read it yourself. Okay, and let's get going with the questions then. So question number 1 is asking me to find and copy 2 things that the star saw when she looked down. So the key word there is saw. What did the star see? So a white star born in the evening glow looked to the round green world below. So looked isn't quite saw. It's very similar, so I think it's going to be around this part of the poem, but it doesn't say saw yet. And saw a pool in a wooded place. Here we are, saw. The 2 things she saw were a pool and a wooded place. So I'm being really specific because it's asking me what she saw, not just what she looked at. So she saw a pool and a wooded place. So you could write in your answer here, wooded place, but because we have a bit more knowledge than the star perhaps, I can infer that the wooded place, by that she either means woods, or maybe she means a forest. Okay, that's question number 1. Question number 2, write down 2 words that rhyme. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remind myself of what my keyword rhyme means. So if something rhymes, it means that the 2 words end in the same sound. So we've got lots of rhyming in this poem, and I noticed that whilst I was reading it. They're called rhyming couplets. It's when the 2 lines directly next to each other rhyme. So we've got, in this line, ends with glow, and the line below it ends with below. So glow and below, both of those end with the O sound, and therefore those are 2 words that rhyme. So I'm going to use glow and below, but you might use place and face, deep and keep. So it's any of the 2 lines throughout the poem next to each other that rhyme. So glow and below. Okay, question number 3 is to find and copy the line which shows us the pig disturbs the peaceful setting. So first of all, I'm just going to highlight my keywords in the question. So the pig disturbs the peaceful setting. So if something is being disturbed, it's being bothered. And if you're disturbing something, it's usually by making a loud noise or some sort of movement, which is a bit annoying. So I'm going to try and find my part in the text where the pig is mentioned. Okay, so a brown pig came to the little pool. It grunted. So if it started grunting, it's ruining that kind of peaceful setting, it's making a noise, and splashed. So both of those show me that the pig is disturbing the peaceful setting. So I'm going to copy down the full line, it's asking me for the full line, It grunted and splashed and waded in. So I've copied the full line down. Now there is another line you could actually have, which is, and the mud churned up in it turbidly. Because again, this line tells me that the pig is disturbing the peaceful setting because it's churning up the mud, so it's making the peaceful water turn a muckier brown, and turbidly implies that that's quite fast. Turbidly means fast. Okay, question number 4. The star grew pale and hid her face. Tick one word that best means pale. So the star grew pale and hid her face. If she's hiding her face, it obviously means that she is not wanting attention, so she's going to be making sure that she's not getting noticed too easily. So, one word that might mean pale is maybe dull, but that isn't actually one of my options. I've got twinkling, sparkly, colourless and bright. So I know it's not going to be twinkling, because that would be quite flashy and bright, and it would mean that she'd want attention. Sparkly means very similar thing to twinkling, so I can discount both of those words. I then have bright. Well, it's not going to be bright because she's hiding her face, and if she was bright it would be quite easy to notice her face. So that must mean that I'm left with colourless, which yes, actually it does fit. So the star grew pale and hid her face. So if she's going colourless, then she's clearly hiding her face. And I also know that pale and colourless are quite often used together. They're very similar in meaning. Usually if you're pale, your face might be drained of colour. So if you're ill, somebody might say you're so pale or you're colourless. So the word that best means pale here is colourless. Okay, and on to my 5th and final question. I've got a short extract from the poem. A brown pig came to the little pool. It grunted and splashed and waded in, and the deepest place by reached its chin. What do these lines tell us about the depth of the pool? So my question here, what do these lines tell us about the depth of the pool? The depth is the key word. So depth means how far down the pool goes. So if you stood in it, whereabouts on your body would it come up to? So I know that I'm going to need to judge the depth of the pool by the knowledge that I can acquire from what the pig was doing there. So having to think first of all, pigs, well, they're not very tall. They obviously can be quite long and quite fat, but they're not very tall. So in terms of depth, I'm trying to have a think about what that would look like on a pig. It grunted and splashed and waded in. Now the word waded is usually used when it's quite shallow water, so it'd be quite hard to wade into deep water. Usually if you're going into deep water, you're going to have to start swimming quickly, or at least kicking your legs in some sort of doggy paddle. So that kind of tells me that I'm thinking it's not very deep. And the deepest place by reached its chin. So reached its chin. So as I've kind of said, a pig isn't very tall. It's about the height of maybe a sort of bigger dog. So if it's only reaching the pig's chin, that implies that the pool is not that deep. So I'm going to answer my question in a full sentence using some of the things that we've just discussed. So the pool is not very deep. Because, and I'm going to use the part that we discussed saying that the deepest place only reached the pig's chin. And pigs are not very tall. So I've answered in a nice full sentence. Just going to read the question and my answer back to make sure it makes sense. What do these lines tell us about the depth of the pool? The pool is not very deep because the deepest place only reached the pig's chin, and pigs are not very tall. Now the chin belongs to the pig, so I need a comma, an apostrophe in there. But other than that, I'm happy with my answers. So as I said, for this one, you could have had a few answers. You could have had like waded, so that kind of tells us it's not very deep. Obviously it's a pig, and you can describe how that shows that if it's only up to its chin, it's not very deep. So well done for today's reading lesson, and you're going to be continuing with Mr. Parker on another text on Monday. Have a lovely weekend.